It's been over 2 months, and Legends ZA has cemented itself as one of the biggest dumpster fires in gaming history. Graphics so ugly they make the PS2 games look next gen. A climax so bad it makes Sword and Shield's climax look like Shakespeare. A gameplay loop so boring it could be prescribed as a sleeping aid, with a DLC that insults your time. This was supposed to be Pokemon's big comeback. Instead, it fumbled so badly that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is now cemented as the best Pokemon game on the Switch. I don't think I've ever seen this much vitriol towards Pokemon, and I've seen it go through its fair share of controversies. I was there in the trenches of Dexet. I lived through the horrors of Sword and Shield. I survived Bastardized Diamond and Shiny Pearl. Games so bad that Game Freak themselves admitted it internally. And people defended those abominations. But no one, and I mean no one, is defending this game outside of facts. And let's be honest, those guys don't exactly have the highest common sense stat. So what went wrong? Why do so many people hate this game so much? Well, let's tell its apart, shall we? But before we do that, we have to be fair and acknowledge the good, because the game does get a few things right. For starters, I like the character designs. A lot of the characters from Scarlet and Violet looked bland unless you're related to Carmine, one of the professors, Nimona, or Iono. Here, the designs feel sharper and more distinct. I'm also glad they brought back Mega Evolution. Sir, it's a break glass in case of emergency type situation, but I'll take it. And some of the new Megas are pretty cool. They even managed to redeem Delphox, which I consider the worst starter ever created. But it's basically a meme at this point of how bad Meganium is. It's at least cute. And Primarina can hold its own in a fight. And despite how you feel about the game, you've got to give Game Freak credit for at least trying something new. It's giving fans what they wanted for almost 3 decades. A game that feels closer to the anime. As, let's be honest, the formula has gotten stale over the years. While Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet did shake things up, they stumbled in a lot of places. And I'll admit, I like some aspects of Lumiose. Seeing wild Pokemon in the streets and rooftops is way more fun than seeing them in the wild zones, as it makes the city feel alive. Alpha Pokemon returning is another big win. They're very high leveled, making them rewarding to catch or take down. I'm also glad you can use moves to navigate the city. This is something the series should have done ages ago instead of relying on HMs and ride Pokemon. It's intuitive, it's fun, and it's something I hope they keep in future installments. I also really enjoy battling the rogue Mega Evolutions. Building a team to take them on is fun, and some of the late game ones can be pretty challenging, so they've got their drawbacks, but I'll get to that later. Playing online is probably my favorite part of this game. It's fun trying to knock out other people's Pokemon and trying to one-up each other to get the most knockouts. But I do think it is a bit too easy to rank up in this mode. Considering that they lock Megastones behind this feature, I'm not complaining too much. Now that I'm done talking about what I like about this trash fire, let's start dismantling it. Starting from the beginning. You arrive in Lumiose as a tourist and take place in the ZA Royale, a tournament created to find the strongest Mega Evolution user. And this is where the game makes its first mistake. Your character has no urgency. In other Pokemon games, you had one simple goal: become champion. Even in Scarlet and Violet and Legends Arceus, games that did something different at least gave you a reason. Here, there is none. Winning the ZA Royale is nice, but you're basically roped into it. They even say the winner can have any wish granted, and you don't even have one. Now, this could work. The Persona series does basically the same thing, with you, the transfer student, getting dragged into whatever's going on. But here, your call to action doesn't happen until 3 hours in. I knew this game was cooked from a story standpoint when it skipped 15 ranks in the ZA Royale. 15! I was curious how they'd stretch this to 26 ranks, but skipping most of it? Are you kidding me? From then on, you're stuck coming rogue Mega Evolutions and grinding towards rank A. It gets repetitive fast, especially when your opponent makes you do some arbitrary tasks before battling them. I'm sorry, do you want to reach rank A or not? All this panic does is make the supporting cast unlikable. Even your so-called friends don't escape this fate, as because of them, you get dragged into debt with the Mafia. And when you try to stand up for yourself, they're like, nah, we'll just take on the debt. What? I already got scammed by college. I'm not getting scammed again because of you idiots. I know another YouTuber touched on this happening, but I didn't think it would be this insulting. Let me remind you, this is the same franchise where 10-year-olds go into space, confront gods, and travel the multiverse. Even in the same region, 10-year-olds stopped Armageddon. Oh, and Zygarde and Lysander pop up randomly from time to time. And don't even get me started on the climax. You see, it's revealed that Easy built a second machine, this time to give everyone immortality, even though at this point he should know the burdens of it. And for some reason, it requires his Floette to activate it, which he did have while building it? Trust me, this gets worse. And the whole reason for Rogue Mega Evolution isn't because of some bad guy who wants to destroy the world. It's because the events of X and Y caused it to awaken, and it taking 5 years to activate. With the whole point of this tournament being to try and find someone to Mega Evolve AZ's Floette and shut down the tower, which anyone can do. Soon after you reach rank A, you and your rival have an inconsequential fight, and she takes Floette to try and stop it. Surprise! It all goes wrong and the machine activates. So instead of an antagonist that goes against the theme of the game, or as a dark mirror of the protagonist, we have a non-entity, which just makes the climax feel, well, very anticlimactic. No pun intended. Even in Arceus, we believe that Dialga and Palkia were the ones causing the rifts and the noble Pokemon to go into frenzies, with the leader being revealed to be Volo, who threw a hissy fit because Arceus didn't choose him. At this point, the generic Destroy the World villain would have been better. Speaking of the finale, it is long, padded, and insulting. You have to go around Lumiose to get to Zygarde, because apparently, he wants you to come to him while the city is getting destroyed. So you have to endure agonizing cutscenes and some of the most boring fights in the entire game. Now, you would expect to be in an epic fight alongside him, commanding him as you fight against AZ's machine to save the city. Well, you do that, but it's done in the lamest way possible. All you're doing is beating up flowers while Zygarde occasionally attacks. How fun. Oh, and AZ dies for no reason despite being immortal. In all honesty, this story is a mess. It needs to be worked from the ground up in order to make it at least interesting. And maybe add some voice acting. Because after 30 years it being on a home console, we still don't have it. At this point, I'd even settle for grunting like in Mario. So, okay, the story is a big pile of trash. But hey, the gameplay is fun, right? Like I said, I have to applaud them for trying something new with the combat system. I mean, if the best Pokemon game on the Switch doesn't even have Pokemon in the title, might as well copy elements from that game, right? But here's the problem. They don't understand why the combat works so well in Xenoblade, and they fail to translate it. In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, battles last way longer. They might seem simple on the surface, but peel back the layers a bit and they can be very complex. You're constantly thinking 10 steps ahead and adapting on the fly when things go wrong. Here, battles last a few seconds. Just knock them out with a super effective move. Hell, hitting them with one that isn't very effective can also work. There's no real strategy. Mega Evolution doesn't seem it either. And online, Megas suck. The only ones that are worth using are the ones that are already good in their base forms. It's a rich gets richer situation, which defeats the whole point of Mega Evolution, making bad Pokemon good. Compare this to the mainline games. Just like with Xenoblade, while it's simple on the surface, it has layers to it. It is so complex that there are 2 different formats that people use to battle in. Even basic inputs feel sluggish. Moves take a second to register because your Pokemon is moving alongside you. They try to fix this with moves having a range, but it's pointless when battles end in seconds. While it does work better online since you're constantly moving, it doesn't work in single player when you and your opponent's Pokemon are on top of each other. You'd think they'd spend more time polishing the combat system. After all, you spend half your time in battle zones fighting other trainers to rank up. Now I'll admit, it is fun at first. One-shotting an unexpected trainer is satisfying, but it gets repetitive real fast. Especially when you clear out a zone in like 5 minutes and have to run around for more trainers to respawn. That just leaves you with the other most important aspect of any Pokemon game. Catching Pokemon, which they also managed to screw up. The only ones worth catching are the ones that can Mega Evolve, since they get all the benefits. Catching is better than in Scarlet and Violet for sure, but still worse when compared to Legends Arceus. In that game, you had multiple ways to catch Pokemon. Here, you just took balls and pray to Arceus that they don't get angry and become uncatchable. If they do, you run away until they calm down. Now, you can knock them out, but you only get one shot. Miss it and they run away. And if your luck is as bad as mine, they run away most of the time. Your best chance is backshotting them at the start. But if that fails, you're stuck with the default option. Even Xerneas and Yveltal are easier to catch than some of these guys, which are legendary Pokemon. You know, the ones you have to throw a shit ton of balls at in order to catch, and have to reset your game because you used them all up? Like I said, Mega Raids are fun, however, they can be a bit repetitive, mostly because you spend half the story doing them, and your partners are pretty much useless, with it getting more infuriating when they can Mega Evolve later on, but choose not to. Like seriously, why give them that option at all? It's the button input is atrociously laggy here. It's so bad that sometimes I couldn't even get my menu to open. And don't even get me started on the final battle with Zygarde. It tries to imitate the final fight with Arceus, but it fails to understand what made that and the Rogue Mega fight so good. The Pokemon in those battles don't use actual moves. They are drastic deviations from them that can hurt you badly if you're not paying attention. And for some reason, Zygarde uses regular moves here for most of the fight. And because of that, he doesn't feel like a threat. The only time he kind of does is when he uses Cord Forcer and Lance's Wrath, which after a few times you learn how to deal with. This makes Zygarde's fights the easiest in the game. And I lost plenty of fights before, mostly because I was swapping Megas and only built a real team halfway, but here, I didn't die once. That's how bad it is. It's such a shame that Zygarde got the worst battle in the game he's named after. And don't even get me started on how bad the city is. When the game was first announced, I, like the rest of you, was disappointed to learn we were confined to a single city. Now some people like my good friend L thought maybe it could work. After all, Spider-Man games have been confined to Manhattan for decades and they managed to make that work. Maybe Pokemon can do the same thing. However, they failed completely at making Lumiose believable. There are no major landmarks, there's no identity in each of its districts, it has nothing and it feels soulless. Now, I don't mind being able to traverse the whole city from the start. Spider-Man does that too. It's what you do with that limited space and how you keep it interesting is what makes it count. And they fail to do anything to keep it interesting. Now, they do try to keep it fresh by adding different wild zones throughout the course of the game, but they're not visually distinct aside from maybe 3, with one of them being the snow area. One thing I hear people praise about this game is the return of dungeons. And yeah, it's cool to see them back, but they're a complete joke as one of them basically holds your hand throughout the entire thing, and the other is a glorified hallway segment. And like I said, it is cool that you can use moves to help you traverse the city, but every single one of them is unlocked from the start. There's no progression, no variety, it's basically the same thing throughout the game. Well, aside from more ability you get later on, but that's about it. Imagine if fly-type moves could help you reach rooftops, or grass-type moves help you cross gaps. Instead, you're stuck breaking boulders and washing away garbage. You can't even surf in this game, which is a series staple. It would be way cooler if you could unlock these things throughout the course of the game. You know, like in the older entries. Luckily, they do have collectibles which give you a reason to go around the city. You can get colorful screws, which you can use to trade in for Canary dolls for quality of life improvements, Mega Crystals which you can use to trade in for Mega Stones and other items in the post-game, as well as some random items you find littered throughout the city. Colorful screws are not fun to get. They're at these platforming sections that feel awful because your character isn't built for this type of movement. While it was like this in Arceus, they at least built around how bad it was so you didn't even realize it. Here, it's painfully more obvious and annoying. Mega Crystals are also a pain to get. They're scattered throughout the city and they only give you a few when you break them. And honestly, there's no reason to collect them all unless you want to get into a line or want to get every Mega Evolution like I do. Speaking of, there isn't even a reason to get all the Mega Evolutions, which was a major part of the marketing in these games. All this leaves the city pretty hollow, with pretty much no reason to explore it. Combine that with the awful graphics, and you have yourself a pathetic excuse for a city. They couldn't even make proper windows or balconies, which is something my Game Boy was able to do. Although I'm not surprised by this, since apparently the entire city is one gigantic model. There is no excuse why this game should look this bad, especially when you compare it to other games on the system. It looks really bad when you compare it to the other game Game Freak is making, Beast of Reincarnation, which is made for systems that they haven't even touched. It isn't even coming to the Switch 2! Speaking of, let's talk about the Switch 2 upgrade pack scam for a second. For $10 extra, the game will look slightly less shitty and run slightly better. Amazing. After all that, the game is now $70. Combine that with the DLC, and you are now staring at a $100 game! You can make fun of me for buying it, but this, along with Metroid Prime 4, are probably gonna be the last Nintendo games I'll ever buy. So I want to see them through to the end. Which brings me along to the worst part of the game, the Mega Dimensions DLC, which somehow makes the entire game worse. Now, I really don't like it when people review DLC, mostly because DLC is just optional content. If you like the game and want more, that's great. If you don't want more or had your fill, that's perfectly fine as well. It's supposed to give you a little extra and in some cases enhance the experience. Originally, I wasn't going to talk about it. However, Nintendo has been really scummy with the way they treat DLC recently. Donkey Kong Bonanza's offering being laughable, and Metroid Prime 4 locking stuff behind amiibos. So I thought I'd see if this trend continued with this game. And like I said, I was going to play it anyways. However, I didn't expect it to highlight the worst parts of the game and somehow make things worse. It does everything, and I mean everything DLC isn't supposed to. It is nothing but a gigantic grind fest. Plus, Hyperspace Lumiose isn't an actual city. It's instead 3 small pocket dimensions that you go through over and over again until it drives you mad. You can either catch Pokemon or battle trainers there to help you complete missions. Once you complete 3, a gold ball spawns somewhere. It is somehow harder to find than the ones in Donadon. Now, the main selling point of the DLC is that you can get your Pokemon past level 100, which sounds cool, right? Sadly, it's only temporary, and you still have to get them up to level 100 to keep up. And since your Pokemon can't get any experience in hyperspace, your only option is to use XP candies, which robs the dopamine hit you receive after defeating a trainer. There's no reason to fight them unless you want to get through the main campaign faster. And trust me, you want to. But it doesn't end there. As later on, you also need to make donuts to progress through the story. Now, this doesn't sound bad on paper, until you realize you don't have the ingredients you need to make that specific donut. So congratulations, you're back to grinding. This happened to me while I was streaming and I was just done. The only other redeeming quality are the rogue mega battles, which are always fun. Everything else is a complete waste of time. In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if this was a rush job as to not take any attention away from Gen 10, which, at the rate they're going, will be more concerning than bad DLC. They managed to push out this abomination while still failing to provide day 1 Pokemon home support? Guys, what are you doing? You managed this back in the DS era. How is this harder somehow a decade later? What's even worse is that you can't even transfer your Pokemon to other games once it's up. If they were fixing that issue, I could understand, but they aren't. When I made a short about this, someone said that this was to prevent people from steamrolling the game with their level 100s. But that argument falls apart the moment home support gets added. Plus, that isn't even why I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed that after over 2 months later, we still don't have an update about this. But let's say this is the reason. Then I have a simple solution. Just have it so you can't transfer them in until you beat the game. There, it's that easy. And yes, I'm going on this rant because my megas are stuck there. But that doesn't make this situation any less ridiculous. However, I think the thing that pisses Pokemon fans the most about this game is just how much wasted potential there was here. We waited years to return to Kalos, and when we do, we're in close to a city? Kalos is a beautiful region. I can see your argument if you said Kalos is the most beautiful region in the entire franchise. But it was never fully realized because there wasn't a third version. Even the anime fleshed out Kalos more than the games ever did. Legends ZA does almost nothing to expand the lore or revisit the characters from X and Y, outside of AZ and Lysander. But I've already explained how badly they were handled. Where is everyone else? Where are the protagonist's friends? The other leaders? Sir, it's cool to see Karina back in the DLC, and it's sweet knowing Diantha has a kid, but you have to give us more than that. Clement's gym is literally inside Lumiose Tower. How do you do nothing with him? It's been 5 years in game since X and Y, and it feels like nothing has changed. Compare that to Black and White 2 or the Joro games where the world felt alive and evolving. Game Freak had an extra year of development, and many of us gave them the benefit of the doubt. And this is what they gave us? All the while they're trying to burn the industry down with patents, just because another company outdid them in the same genre. And thank God they were denied those patents. Because if this is their idea of innovation, then the franchise is in serious trouble. And despite the bad story, the half-baked gameplay, the embarrassing PS1 era graphics, and the sorry excuse for a city, I still had fun with this game, if you don't count Mega Dimensions. If me saying that invalidates this review for you, then that's fine. I can acknowledge its many weaknesses and see why people hate it, while still admitting I mostly enjoyed my time with it. I can confidently say that it's the second best Pokemon game Game Freak has made on the Switch, once again not counting the DLC. Although that's not saying much when you consider my ranking. In last place you have the Bastardized Sinnoh Remix BDSP. Games that I waited 15 years for that not only fumbled the bag in every conceivable way, but also spat in the face of my childhood. Then you have Pokemon Sword and Shield, games that I hate with a burning passion because of how badly they damaged the franchise. I played this game for about 30 minutes at my friend's place, and I hated every second of it. Then you have a long-ass poll, followed by Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, games that no one really asked for, which are inoffensive and boring in my eyes. Followed by Scarlet and Violet, which does a lot of things right, but at the same time does a lot of things wrong. And I mean a lot. Then there's ZA, and finally, Game Freak's shining accomplishment on the Switch, Legends Arceus, which I think was good, but still nowhere near the best Pokemon experience on the console, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. If you enjoyed the Dumpster Fire's BDSP and Sword and Shield, and really want to use Mega Evolution again like I do, then you'll more than likely enjoy this game. Everyone else, I'd wait for the Switch 1 version to go on discount. And for the love of Arceus, stay away from the DLC. So where do I place this game in terms of a tier list? I place it in D tier. If I were Nintendo and Game Freak, I'd reevaluate the state of the franchise. Gen 10 is due to release next year, and judging by the franchise's trajectory, it's probably gonna be another laughingstock. Instead of releasing it next year, why not work on it a bit longer and wait until 2027 or 2028 to release it? People waited nearly a decade for a new 3D Mario. They can wait a few more years for Pokemon. Put more money into it. Not a crazy budget, just enough to show effort. Bring back Junichi Masuda to direct another game. The guy made some of your best entries. It doesn't have to be a big budget one. Have it be smaller and go back to your roots. Just don't make it $70. And for the love of Arceus, put Pokepia on an actual cartridge! Anyways, that's all from me. Let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy Legends ZA? Or do you think it was a dumpster fire? Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, I will see you all later.